All right. Well, we're right here at 10:30. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll go through the presentation, Leveraging Technology for Emergency Mass Notification. Thank you very much for coming by here on Monday morning. When I first came over here, I thought I was maybe going to be like one of those struggling artists that was going to play to an empty room, but appreciate you for coming by. This is actually a topic that's been very popular with a lot of attendees to ASIS, because a lot of times you're on the front end of knowing what's happening, what's occurring, and then getting the word out is just as important, so that all the employees, all the stakeholders, all those people on your buildings, campuses, know how to react to the emergency effectively, so you can save lives. So as a security professional, this is kind of that next step on getting the word out and conveying the right message to the right people. So with this presentation, I'm going to go ahead through the learning objectives of challenges and solutions facing organizations. So a lot of different technology that you have access to, and some of the challenges that creates, and how you can use technology to bring those together. Tools available to activate your emergency alert. Anything from a web interface to mobile apps, those kind of things are out there in the market to be able to activate your mass notification system. And then understanding the M&S codes and some of the mandates that are out there. There's some areas that mass notification is required, some areas they're suggested, and some areas where they're optional. And then the codes provide some guidance on how to implement that, so they can give you an idea of some of the thought on how to implement mass notification as well. So we're going to start with the agenda of mass notification challenges, goals, and tools available, and talk about codes, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A. We can either do that in this session, or I can jump down and we can have additional discussion after the session. So a mass notification system, it's a system which protects life and indicates the existence of an emergency situation, communicating information necessary to facilitate an appropriate response. So basically, that could be anything from intruder alert, a potential disgruntled employee that could return back. It could be a weather alert for a lot of the manufacturing facilities, those kind of things. A lot of outdoor venues, weather is very important. Could be existence of lightning in the area, so automating that process using technology. So it could really be any kind of disaster. If you've got buildings or facilities near chemical facilities, there are maybe other companies, rail yards, those kind of things, those might be relevant mass notification events for you as well. So it can really encompass any kind of threat that your facility has within either the local region or right on campus. So many organizations have a lot of different ways to notify, but they're a lot of times disjointed. So you may have a text email notification service. There's quite a few vendors. Everbridge, SendWordNow are popular within corporate. Rave Mobile Wireless, they're gaining a lot of traction in corporate, but also in the higher ed space. So there's a number of those that can reach out, notify those that are either at your facilities or somewhere out connected to your organization. So that's a personal notification. The next one's sound and paging. A lot of your facilities probably have some kind of voice system, whether it's the fire alarm system where you can go up and speak over the mic, maybe a paging system, maybe put sound masking seems pretty popular these days. That might be something that you can also make an announcement over in the event of emergency. A lot of times those systems aren't used for PAs as well, but so you've got a lot of different assets, and I'll go through a few more. It might have an outdated or loosely defined plan. That's fine. Most of the organizations I talk to, that's exactly where they are. It might be that there's one person in charge of it in a facility. There might be another at a different. The varying tools as well. It might be a bullhorn that they run around the facility notifying everybody. So if you've got some buildings like that, so you're not alone. You've got a lot of people have that as the case when they do an assessment and they put together those plans. Response plan dependent on individuals. So each facility, like I said, you might have one person that has to get on the microphone. What if they're out that day? What if they're traveling? Do you have backup people planned? Well, you could leverage technology to kind of take that human interaction out of that to be able to deliver that message without having to have somebody there, and we'll talk a little bit about the ways that can occur. Only one notification mode, so maybe you just have text or email. Maybe it's just the sound and paging. There's ways to use technology, existing assets like your VoIP phones, your digital signage, your desktops, to be able to use those to display a message as well. So suddenly you're taking one mode and using some of the existing assets and going with 2 or 3 modes, which is optimal for getting a message out. And then there's quite a few that just simply aren't prepared, that need to put a plan together, that sometimes will realize that they don't have a good plan when something occurs, which is the worst time for that to happen. So I noted a bunch of different technology assets that we could bring into into your notification capabilities, which is digital signage, text and email, mobile phones, your smartphones. It could be lower tech items like sound and paging, the voice with the fire system. Could be outdoor giant voice, those big speakers for covering large outdoor areas. You can use technology to bring all these together. So if you've got some of these things in your organization, how do you activate them today? How long does that take? A lot of times, the digital signage is owned by marketing, maybe marketing communications. The VoIP phone is in telecommunications, so it's hard to take over that screen, even if you might have that capability. The PA system might have a microphone in facilities that's locked up so that most people can't get to it. Well, how do you use all those things very efficiently to activate when seconds count, especially when you've got an active shooter, tornado alert, those kind of things? You've literally got minutes to get that message out. We can leverage technology to do that by connecting up these devices, adding additional devices or display endpoints to make sure that not only when you push the button, it goes out efficiently, but it also goes to a lot of modes and it goes out there very quickly. So you can get multiple modes of notification out within seconds. So a quick overview, and I know I've been touching on some of the areas of the market, but just to kind of give you an idea of the three areas that you want to be considering when you're looking at mass notification. One is your personal notification, a lot of times also referred to as distributed recipient. That allows you to go out and reach individuals no matter whether they're in your facility or not. So that's making a phone call to either their home, their mobile phone, sending them a text message to their mobile phone. That gets a lot of your employees. There's also some challenges of relying on just one mode. What if they have their phone off? What if they're in meetings and they're not paying attention to it? Text messaging is so ubiquitous, it vibrates almost as much as your email. So maybe they'll miss that. There's a time delay for some of that notification. But it is a very strong tool and one that many implement as a mode of notification. The next is in building or facility. This encompasses anything like your digital signage systems, your desktop PCs to be able to notify and pop up. Could be your sound and paging systems, your fire alarms, anything that would be in your building that could be used to notify individuals. And the last piece of it is the outdoor wide area. So if you've got a very large outdoor facility where you need to get a message out to either a big field, big parking lot, these are those big booming speakers that are able to cover large areas. They may or may not be a part of your strategy, but if you've got those outdoor areas where you need to get weather alerts out to large parking lots areas, they're a big part of the strategy. And you want to make sure that each one of these are connected together, and that's where technology comes into play. The technology can take your personal recipient, which is a software as a service solution, basically a web-based software you have access to, connect it with your building facility notification, connect it into new and older technologies, so we can bring all that together so that you can notify everybody. You push a button, your text and emails are going out, your speaker system's doing an announcement, your desktops are popping up. So that's really how we can employ technology in a mass notification strategy. And a lot of times with technology, you can mix and match. So if you find that 2 or 3 different modes are good enough and give you the coverage you need, then you can stop there. If you need to keep adding, the technology is flexible that allows you to be able to add notification based upon some of the challenges you have. So I've touched on a lot of these. So in building emergency mass notification, there's a lot of different suppliers or people that are trying to approach that market. One is the traditional fire and life safety manufacturers. The codes are evolving that new buildings a lot of times have to have voice, but it's usually just voice and strobes. If you're not able to get somebody on that speakerphone, then the strobes or having no announcement really doesn't help you. Sound and paging, again, you've got to be able to get somebody that speaker to make that announcement and coordinate that, and also make sure that they make that correct announcement. We've all played telephone as a kid, and you make 3 calls. One person says one thing, the next person says another thing, it kind of goes down your tree. Well, the message might get changed a little bit. It might not be exactly what you want as to be issued, but that's what that person's going to say over that microphone. Access control systems, this is a lot of times an activation point. You can badge in, put a 911 code in, and maybe activate a lockdown, something like that. So that's actually a way you can integrate into your notification strategy to do an automated alert. VoIP phone notification software, a lot of times IT, this is really fun. They do paging with it. They can do messages, but you generally have to grab somebody in IT or have a separate login. So that's a lot of times a challenge. Any of your IP alerting, your VoIP alerting, digital signage, cable TV, kind of things that you can connect up. They're all on the network. You can install those separately, or you can look for a vendor that can bring all those things together so that you can activate that very efficiently. So, the other part of that is the wide area mass notification. I mentioned the big outdoor speakers, that kind of thing. It's used very heavily in DoD, industrial, any large corporate campuses that have a lot of outdoor areas. So I was talking a lot about different technology pieces, and this is kind of an idea of how this can all come together. You've got many different alerting endpoints pictured here, anything from digital signage, LED marquees, panic buttons, VoIP phone integration, fire alarms, all these things that I've mentioned. You can all put those on the network, connect those up through the network to be able to notify, so that there's one point where you can put the message in, hit send, select all your notification modes, select your locations, and then hit send. That then sends it out through your network, through the internet, combination thereof, to get to all your different assets. So there's connections that can be made to your text and email service, so that when you're sending that out, it can be sent out through text and email. There's also, Alertus, the company I'm with, we've developed to a lot of those text and email providers so that you've got actual selection within their interface. So if you've already deployed that kind of technology, you might be able to just turn on the ability to activate other technology modes straight from that interface. So you've got one place to activate. So we're leveraging technology from a service you've got that then sends a message down to your facilities that then activates all this technology. So there's a lot of integration that can occur so that we can consolidate that down to one point. Because like I mentioned before, a lot of the challenge comes from you've got all these technology islands, you've got all these ways to notify, but how do you bring that together? You can use technology, connect those together, and look at different ways, either through their API, which is an application programming interface. It basically allows one manufacturer to talk to another. There's other integration ways. There's a standard called Common Alerting Protocol, and that's a kind of a tech protocol for making these systems connect and talk together. There's also ways to monitor outside feeds like NOAA weather alerts, AccuWeather, lightning feeds from the Weather Channel, those kind of things, to bring those into your systems to be able to activate. This is actually a diagram that I use a lot of times with our customers to give you an idea of all those technologies that we can help bring together. But really, there's a number of vendors out there that can do this, that can connect these up on varying degrees or levels. So I wanted to highlight a couple of the high-tech notification capabilities that are out there that will really give you a lot of coverage, bang for your buck, and also they're fairly easy to manage on working with your IT team. And that is desktop notification. You've probably got anywhere between, most of the organizations we work with have anywhere between 500 and say 150,000 PCs within the organization. The software exists to be able to go out there and take over those PCs at a moment's notice. So you're going to flash up every PC in your organization, or you could actually target it based upon where they're connected within your networks. So if they're connected in one building, you can just target that one building with the desktop notification, that one campus. You could even go out and find that one individual and do a desktop notification. There's many different types of notifications you can do. It could be a full screen like you see here, or you could do quarter screen pop-ups, scrolling messages where it docks the screen, so you're not actually interrupting the flow of somebody's workflow, but you're providing relevant information. So a full screen, that might be an active shooter. You've got the ability to configure that on the fly. It might be that you do a pop-up with a picture of a disgruntled employee if somebody's threatening to come back to a certain facility. So desktop can be a really powerful communication tool, and you can implement it in ways that either provide information, don't really interrupt, or are fully interrupt people and display the message there to take action. The desktop capabilities can be integrated with fire alarms, so that if you've got troubles evacuating people when a fire alarm's pulled, it could also pop up, provide evacuation information, fire, that kind of thing, to add emphasis to get people to act, that kind of thing. So desktop's really flexible in the way you deploy it, the way you send a message, and then also being able to target it based upon where your users are plugged into computers, where they're connected, where they're sitting. So unlike personal notification, you're just going to send it out to a group and hope, maybe somebody's in England, somebody's, maybe 50% of the people you send it are in the facility that you're at, another 20% are out on sales calls, vendor meetings, that kind of thing. But with desktop, you're just hitting those people that are plugged in with their computers open in that facility. So it's a really great place to start if you're starting to look at, well, what kind of technology can I leverage in my organization, and then start to look at, well, how do I connect that up? Connect it up to your distributed recipients, so your text email, so you're sending both of those out at the same time, and really start to layer those things in so that it's very quick and easy to activate your MS notification. The next one, which is a big area of growth, and the technologies are really coming along, especially with the proliferation of smartphones. We're able to take over a smartphone device, either Apple, Android, and then provide a message very similar to a desktop takeover. It can be targeted to group users. It can be targeted to those that are connected in your facilities using a tablet, and that's really app-driven. So there's two ways they can kind of come by it. They can either download the app, register with your organization to receive those alerts when they're there, or we've actually had a lot of success with organizations that have put together some kind of an app, whether it's a mapping app, information for visitors, something that their employees download, which is a portal. You can actually integrate code into those apps, so if your employees already have something they're downloading on a regular basis or that's being applied to their phone from corporate, you can also reach out and provide notification through the mobile app. Also, with the GPS capabilities, mobile apps are really maturing so that you can target people in a certain area. So you're sending a message out to, say, all your employees in a certain city or a township area, that kind of thing. So the mobile apps are really an area that are evolving, especially as the technology in smartphones really evolve, to be able to be used as a notification capability in addition to all the different notification modes you have. So from here, I'm going to shift gears a little bit from technology and onto codes. This is something that comes up with a lot of our customers, people we work with, that really want to make sure that they're adhering to the codes when they're implementing mass notification. And what are some of those codes that you want to keep an eye out for? One is the Clery Act. If anybody in here is higher education, this is actually the first required mass notification legislation. This was based upon, it was actually put in place a long time ago, but kind of evolved based upon Virginia Tech, where it requires that they notify everybody on a campus when an event occurs. So they've got at stake federal funding, there's fines, those kind of things. The next one's DoD. That's very similar. The DoD has the Unified Facilities Criteria. That is basically an edict or a law. The Secretary of Defense said that all DoD facilities must comply with UFC. So that's basically law when you're in the military. And that goes through exactly how they should implement there. Kind of an overarching influence on the codes is ADA accessibility. And this drives really when you're putting together your mass notification strategy, you want to have both an audio and a visual component. So something that's either flashing, strobes, gets your attention, and or an audio component that if you're differently able, you're also able to receive that message auditory or visual, depending on that. So you'll see that really runs through a lot of these codes. And then the last one, which encompasses most of us that are here, this would be state and local facilities, any kind of high occupancy buildings built, and that's NFPA, National Fire Protection Association. This is a code that really in the past has very well governed fire alarm systems, but it's expanded, it's added chapter 24 to that, one section that provides guidance on mass notification. Some of the key things that happened was they opened up the fire alarm to be used for more than just than fire. So you're able to connect in and use those speakers on a daily basis, or connect in and use them for mass notification. So these codes are opening up to allow that. The codes also provide some additional guidance on how to deploy mass notification around, where you should do it. What are some of the suggestions on how to deploy that? To get the message out within your buildings. So basically, NFPA splits up into two different things: one-way notification, two-way notification. The area with mass notification is really your one-way notification. Two-way gets into your first responders, radio, that kind of thing. But one-way is intended to broadcast information and emergency to personnel in one or more specific in or outdoor areas. It's intended that emergency messaging be conveyed either by audible or visual means. In fact, they look to have both of those to be compliant with the codes. And then standalone bells, horns, other sounders, lights, really aren't applicable. You need more than just, a horn. Because, we've all been in, even when they set the fire alarm system up here, they had one horn tone. Everybody kind of looked around and was wondering if it was one of the vendors or not, and then nothing to announce that. So nobody really took any action. So it also addresses that you need a little bit more than just a tone to signify a mass notification, those kind of things. So they break it into different tiers as well to kind of give you an idea. And it's pretty straightforward and easy to follow. So you've got a tier 1, immediate intrusive. This could be the fire alarm, leveraging the fire alarm. It could be electronic signage throughout your facility, using the fire evacuation system to get that message out there. So that's something that's going to interrupt everybody's daily communication. The next is personal alerting. So this is trying to deploy messaging to individuals. So not only is the building telling you to evacuate, but you're also receiving the message either on a smartphone, your computer pop-up. So if you're sitting at your desk, that pops up, gives you that message. If it's a shelter in place, that's also your communication tool to communicate when that emergency is over. Send the all clear. That tool is still in their office. They'll see the all clear go out, know that the emergency is over. So personal alerting becomes a big part of that. And then tier 3 and 4 really gets into your first responders, some of the media capabilities to notify. But 1 and 2 is really what impacts your business. And the codes really focus on having multiple, one from each of those tiers. So you've got immediate intrusive, something that's going to alert those in the building. The next one, personal alerting, that could be your text or email, mobile app, those kind of things. And it encourages you that if you rely on just one method, it could result in relatively large portions of your population missing that message, not receiving that message, which is kind of goes against the goal that you're looking for. You want to get it to everybody you possibly can. And then the codes. So overall, they want you to exploit as many different modes in Tier 1 as possible. So this is, again, wrapping it back into technology. This is where you can use your desktop, your mobile phone, your digital signage throughout your facility, your fire alarm system, be compliant with the codes, and actually go overboard to be able to provide that notification in a way that gets everybody's attention within your buildings. The other nice thing is when you're doing that, you're putting multiple modes out there. You're also getting people that are just in your facility as visitors, as contractors, those kind of things. So it's really your answer there, because a lot of organizations come to us and say, hey, we've just got text or email. How do we add our contractors? How do we add these people to be notified? And that could be hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals that you're responsible for that your current setup maybe doesn't accommodate. So using technology and really connecting all these systems together to notify is one way to solve that challenge as well. This gets into a little bit more of the codes, but you'll see some of the things that to highlight here are textual notification appliances, something that provides something you can read. So that could be a desktop, a beacon of some kind, an LED marquee, digital signage. The devices should have alert stamped on them. So any device that you use for mass notification that flashes, sounds, if you've got alert stamped on that, you can use that. This is where I'll jump back to the codes a little bit more detailed, is that if you want to use the strobes on your fire alarm system, and this is kind of an evolution of the codes, if they're labeled alert, where there's no label on them whatsoever, those can be used for mass notification in addition to fire. It's only when you get into buildings where the clear strobes are labeled as fire only, that they can only be turned on in a fire instance. But if you find some of your facilities that have clear strobes in them, they're labeled alert, they're labeled, or maybe not labeled at all, those could actually be turned on using the technology that's available during your mass notification to get people's attention as well, leveraging those existing assets. And then the last one, distributed recipient, that's your text and email service. The codes are actually encouraging, they're not requiring you to integrate, because they know that if you're sending that same consistent message to a text, email, to individuals to keep to notify them in the facility as you're sending throughout your buildings, that just emphasizes for the individual that this is real. This is a message that I need to take action on, because I'm receiving it on multiple modes and it's exactly the same. So they really encourage this integration, and technology is a good way to do that to make sure it's all connected. Again, big piece of codes are ADA accessibility. We work with Gallaudet University, which is a preeminent university for the deaf and hard of hearing. They deploy a lot of visual notification, so those desktop pop-ups, the LED marquees, alert beacons, those kind of things are very, very useful for the individuals that on that campus to notify. So to kind of wrap up on the codes, the goals of the NFPA 72 is to install in new buildings and retrofit existing buildings with mass notification. A lot of times you'll run into NFPA really coming into effect when you're building a new building, because at certain occupancy levels, municipalities and local jurisdictions are requiring that mass notification on some level be added. If it's a smaller facility or if it's a facility that maybe is already existing, then you can retrofit that and you can really choose how you want to implement mass notification and use the codes as a guideline. Another one part of the code is multiple modes of notification, compliance with ADA. Leverage every existing potential communication asset with a simple one-step activation. That gets back to, again, providing your interface, consolidating all those capabilities, whether it's high-tech or low-tech like sound and paging, so that when you go to that interface to activate that, you're able to activate it very efficiently, very consistent message, and target it to the right place. And then lastly, ensure an open system for expandability, so that as new facilities, new technologies are added, you want a system that is very open standards, very flexible, so that it can grow with you as technology evolves, those kind of things. So I guess just to kind of bring it all together, technology and mass notification can be used to unify your assets, so bring all those things together. Streamline the activation. You could activate from a web interface. You could activate from your mobile phone using a mobile app if you've got credentials. You could do automated activation, so if weather was a big one, you could tie it in so that if certain hours a tornado alert goes active for your zip code, it could go do an automated alert. So really leveraging that technology for a seamless one-step activation or even automated activation. Next, provide complete coverage. There might be some, depending on whether it's a new facility or older facility, if you could mix and match different modes of notification, you can get to that complete coverage using technology. Cost-effective options, a lot of times if you've got to put a sound and paging system in a building or a fire system or upgrade that's extremely expensive investment. It could be tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade. Maybe that's not an option, but using technology, you can leverage those things like your VoIP phones, your desktop, some of the smartphones that individuals are carrying, tablets, that kind of thing, to do it a lot more cost effectively and still get the same end result. And then lastly, open interoperability and expandability is key. That you want to make sure that you're able to connect new technologies, new things into it, and really bring them into the whole alerting capability so you can maintain that one point of activation, which will get that message out instantaneously to those that need that. So from there, I appreciate everybody coming by. If we want to do any questions, or it looks like we're coming up right on maybe 11, I don't know if we've got another tech talk after this, myself and Jason could hang out at the back. We could talk a little bit more. Thank you for coming by.